welcome back, guys. It's EBA 101 Boxing, and today we have a guest, Melody Joy, and she has her own podcast, The Beauty of Boxing. And hello, introduce and tell me a little bit about yourself, and we'll get into some boxing right now.
Hi, my name is Melody Joy, and I do have a podcast. I just started, so we're on episode 2 now. And yeah, it's called The Beauty of Boxing. It's just that was a name that I had thought up for Instagram, and then I just kind of went with it. I work for a promoter here in Los Angeles, a small promoter doing club shows, doing the PR. So I just started doing that probably about 4 years ago.
Okay, so let's start about boxing right now. I know the heavyweight division has gone through some changes, some upsets. Since probably in the last year and a half or two now. Wilder lost to Tyson Fury.
Oh, yes. Heartache, heartache.
White, lost to Povetkin, which was it was a very interesting fight, right?
Right,
And
right.
then Andy Reese had beaten, Joshua, and then he ended up, make avenging his loss. So where do you see and who do you feel like? Do you feel like it's going to be an undisputed champion at one point, or do you feel like it's always going to be separate and they're not going to fight each other?
No, I think they will. I think with Tyson Fury coming back, I think to the heavyweight division, I don't think he's going to rest until he is, the undisputed champion. And I don't think even with this, fight with Wilder coming up, I guess hopefully in December, I don't think that he's going to stop there. I think he's going to want to continue to, fight everybody. I think he's going to want to fight Joshua. And I think he's going to beat them. I really do. I think no matter how much I really don't like Tyson Fury, but I mean, I'm pretty sure he is on top.
Okay, so why don't you like Tyson Fury?
No, I just don't like I mean, maybe when he does drugs, he's a little crazy. You know what I mean? I mean, I'm crazy, but he's a little too much.
I think he's very bold in his personality, and
Yeah,
yeah,
he's
pretty,
real.
yeah. So whatever he's thinking, he's gonna
Yeah,
say out loud, and
yeah,
sometimes he
yeah,
doesn't have that filter, right?
yeah,
So he's an interesting character. Something that I want to do a video on is gonna be on his mental health,
yeah.
just because I'm a therapist and how I tie mental health to boxing and stuff like that. So, um,
Yeah, he really has grown on me, since he's come back. Because my family had to deal with suicide. So, him coming back and then being so bold and talking about his story, that really, it's touching, that he's moving forward.
yeah, and I think he uses like boxing as like he's a workaholic. He has to be busy
Right, right,
because the more that he does, the less he's able to think
right.
negative things that he's going through. But
Yeah.
it's a good thing that he hopefully continues. I know he wants to retire uh, pretty soon. Like he just wants a couple fights and that's it. But
Yeah.
hopefully we have him for plenty of fights because I think for a while we were waiting for the heavyweight division to be entertaining. We finally getting it, and if he retires, then
Yeah, and
go
then we're
back
gonna
to like
be.
not being entertaining, right?
But we do have Debo, what's his name? Daniel DeBose
Debo.
from the UK.
He's coming up.
He's coming up. I'm not even sure about other ones, but I mean, I hope there is other ones because, they'll every division has their, a couple of talkers. It makes it interesting. It makes it fun for us.
Yeah, and there's that cruiserweight right now. I can't remember that was undefeated, and then it's moved up to heavyweight. He is looking pretty good as well, and I think hopefully we just have a couple of years of good heavyweight division because although like welterweights, middleweights, they're pretty good. Once the heavyweight division is on top of the sport, there's nothing like it, right? Attracts more people than anything. So there's another fight. There's a couple fights that we're gonna discuss today, right? And I want to hear your opinion on it. Let's go with the smaller fight, and is Luke Campbell versus, Ryan Garcia. What are your thoughts on that?
I think Ryan's gonna win. I remember watching. I like Campbell. I really do. He's gorgeous. Like he doesn't look like he should be fighting, but He I watched him fight Linares. I was there like front row. And he has a lot of flaws that I hope he works out because I'm pretty sure Ryan's going to catch him.
Hmm. Yeah, I think Ryan was making fun of him because he's like, no one's like happy to lose except like Luke Campbell or something like that. So
I didn't see that. Ryan's crazy. They're crazy. I mean, but I've been noticing Campbell talking like smack because normally I've never seen Campbell. He's always cool headed, level headed. But lately I've seen him like kind of throwing jabs at Ryan, getting Ryan's attention. I was like, ooh, he's stirring up the pot. But
yeah,
that's crazy because I think like maybe I don't know 7 months ago. That's what I was asking Twitter. Like if we could see that fight, if it was going to be entertaining. That was probably one of my most talked about posts on Twitter. I think a couple months ago was that Ryan fighting Luke. I figured they would eventually fight.
do
I
you think
figured.
that do you think that's finally an opponent that Ryan is going to get the credit if he wins?
I still don't think so. I still don't. I still think there's going to be people constantly bagging on him and kind of underrating him a little bit just because of the stardom that he has and he's gotten. I think they'll always have that on him.
Yeah, and I think well, talking about, you were saying about the gorgeous part of Luke Campbell, but a lot of people do like think that Ryan Garcia is more like a model, like he's so distracted with other things.
Yeah.
Because, like the Oscar De La Hoya effect, right? When he was fighting Fernando Vargas, and when he was
Yeah.
coming up, even Sugar Ray Leonard, the stardom. A lot of people, like, just because they are good looking, they probably are criticized, and Ryan
Yeah.
made a good point once. I think he said, like, if you're in my position, and some of these outlets or Hollister or Abercrombie and Finch are trying to sponsor you, you would do it too.
Right.
And
Right. Why wouldn't you? I'm sure all these people that talk about it, if they had those offers, they would do it too.
mhm,
That those are like things that um it's just that he because he got it so soon. I think people, there's always going to be people doubting him. There's always going to be people haters talking about him. Just and then of course because he's with Oscar De La Hoya, now he's with the Canelo team, and now there's all this drama. I'm sure he's gonna stay popular for a long time. Does he have TikTok? I don't even know.
yeah, probably he has TikTok.
I'm
He
sure he has TikTok. He has a YouTube channel. I'm sure like
Yeah, he's doing a lot of collabs with a lot of people on YouTube. A lot of YouTubers follow him, and he gets a lot of fan base. But I think it's really smart of him, right? He's using that as a tool. No, yeah. So, like I saying, basically, do you think he should get paid more, or is he in his right to get paid more just because he brings more people to the seats and he sells, or at least more viewerships?
I think so. I think so. I mean, you see, like the other guys, like Devin Haney and um, Terrafimo, they're getting paid bank.
Hmm.
I think Ryan is working to get sponsors to do his TikTok because he's trying to get more sponsors. He's trying to like make more revenue. But I don't know if he is getting paid enough because I mean I don't know. Golden Boy's cheap, you know.
Okay. Yeah, I guess with Al Heyman, they a lot of the fighters actually do mention that they're pretty sad, or they get.
Yeah, they're getting paid like three-figure checks when Ryan's like fighting, just to get like 150,000 or 250,000 or something,
Mhm.
and he's fighting for it.
Yeah,
But the other guys are getting paid no problem.
yeah, and I think that's the debate right now too with Canelo and Golden Boy, right? Because he's suing not only the Zone, but also Golden Boy, and I think it's something about the contract. He wasn't there. I didn't like that Canelo at least should have been there. Like, that's kind of
Right.
excuse, like, hey, I wasn't there when they were making the contract. Well, it's your contract, so
Yeah, why
put
weren't
in
you?
an
That's kind of
effort.
dumb.
Yeah, it doesn't. He needs to be present, or at least in a Zoom call or whatever it is, to make sure that he has the agreements. I don't know how is that going to work, but I know, like, Oscar left his promoter, right? He left Bob Arum.
Right.
He started his own Promotions, and I think Al Heyman brings this consulting part of into boxing, where he doesn't take too much of the money there, and he leaves the boxers with a lot more in their pockets. And he always, I at least like with Errol Spence, I know he mentioned before, talks about like retirement plans, or what do you plan to do for when boxing is over. And even though they're young, they're like, what retirement? I'm barely getting started. But it's really important for them to start learning about those things
Yeah.
early on, because then Mike Tyson blew 300 million or whatever it was on tigers and other stuff, right?
And hookers and drugs.
Yeah. So, but we'll move on from that topic. But let's see your thoughts on Lopez versus Lomachenko, because this, I think, for me personally, is the fight of the year. The only really good thing about 2020 is going to be this fight, right? Because I think they both have that mentality. They want to be great, and they want to reach undisputed champions
Right.
at level. And so this is one step towards that, and becoming that. So, what are your thoughts on that?
I've been I love Terafimo Lopez. I loved when he started. I started coming up and then showing, coming out on top rank, and his little flips and his little Fortnite dances. I loved it. Um but I've always looked at him more as a like a prospect, still coming up. So when he was going to fight Loma and he started all the talk, I I I felt kind of bad, like, oh no, Loma's gonna destroy him. Like, why would he do that? But as I see him growing and in training, he's so much bigger now than I've ever seen him.
Mm-hmm.
She looks so much more stronger. I still think that Loma's gonna edge out. I think he has the stamina, and I think Loma's gonna win. But I mean, lately that I've been seeing Terafimo in camp, he looks monstrous, and I know he's strong. I'm sure. I just don't know if he's fast enough. But then I don't know if Loma's still as fast. So it's like it's gonna be a good fight. I know it is. It's gonna be a really good fight. I'm super excited for it, and I know, like you said, I'm pretty sure this is gonna be the fight of 2020 for us, because we've been like starved from boxing. And so this fight, I'm really excited to watch, because I'm pretty sure Loma's gonna edge it out. I think, but I could be wrong. It's just my opinion. Just what I
Mm-hmm.
think.
Yeah. For me, I see like the knockout for for Lopez and Lomachenko for decision. It could go like, it could be really good fight, or it could be another Lomachenko just one sided. Like he can't catch him, and that'd be really
Right.
boring for us to watch. And hopefully, it's not that way, because he does have a lot of foot movement. And I know Lopez has mentioned before that, oh, all this foot movement is not irrelevant or something like that, right? In that I have the ability to catch him because I am quick, I am stronger. If Linares was able to drop him, that's the key, right? It gave us a little glimpse of how can he get dropped or hurt. And Lopez has a lot more power than Linares. So it'll be interesting to see, but I do feel that Lopez is jumping in too quick for this. Maybe I would have liked it in 2021. Maybe gotten
Right.
one or two more fights. But then again, then people will say, well, he's just waiting out Loma to get old and things like that. So
Right.
uh, if he
Right.
wins, I think it's way more impressive. In the sense, like when Canelo tried to fight Mayweather, I thought
Right.
it was way too early, and it was. But
It was what we thought.
yeah. And well, in this case, if Lopez pulls it off, then more credit to him. He,
Right.
he writes his name in the record books as one of the greats potentially. If he continues to win, that'll be an impressive career, because he did it so young
Right.
and beating someone, one of the best all time, or the best all time amateur boxer of all time. So, um, let's go into some of your favorite boxers and some of the boxers that you feel that they're underrated.
Underrated?
Yeah.
Well, there's so many. I mean, I like watching a lot of the lower divisions. I'm a huge fan of all the, smaller weights.
Hmm.
And I know there's so many little fighters that are coming up, and I'm like super excited for. But I mean, right now, like in the eye of boxing, I think, I'm most excited about Virgil.
Hmm.
I love Virgil Ortiz. Like, I know he's gonna be like, he just need we as soon as we get some opponents, I'm excited to watch him knock some more people out.
Yeah, and he did pretty good. I was just hoping to for him to drop Sammy Vargas, which because then he at least compares himself to Danny and Errol Spence because both dropped him. But
Right.
the training camp was a lot different for this fight, and to his credit,
Was this his first fight? Was that his first fight with Robert Garcia?
I think it was like his third fight, and Robert Garcia was not there, but his father's been training him before
Oh,
Garcia. So, but I think that what hurt him was that he was just mentally exhausted. He mentioned it, and I do believe because this fight got it just he's been training and all this, in the COVID situation. I think everybody's not at their best, and hopefully that was the thing, but. I was really expecting him to knock him down at least once.
right,
I do feel like he is the future, and I've done a couple of videos on him, and hopefully he continues to fight the best. Hopefully he fights a Keith Thurman. I think that's a really good fight for him. But I don't think Keith Thurman is going to agree to something like that. I think he's looking
he's
for
still off playing the flute somewhere.
he's trying to get the money and get out probably. He
Yeah, he
got
doesn't look dedicated at all.
no, he got injured. He got married. I think he's like, I
It's
want to retire, but give me the cash before I retire.
yeah, I don't have enough money to retire, so I need to get in there real quick and get my 10 mil. And it's like, no.
Yeah,
How long has it been? Almost 2 years?
yeah. Well, his last fight, he fought, versus Pacquiao, and it's probably a year already. I don't know. It's been pretty quick years. Um,
Didn't he fight Josecito too?
Josito Lopez. Oh yeah, that was
Remember?
yeah, that was his comeback fight. He did not look good there. Well, he got hurt, right?
Yeah.
And some people thought that he should have been stopped or he could have been close. Vargas was so close. Lopez was so close. And but it didn't happen. And I think that was the reason that you know Pacquiao decided on Thurman, honestly, because
Yeah.
he was
Because
probably
he
the
saw it as easy target.
yeah. And because that's and Pacquiao's another thing, right? Because Pacquiao, he's a legend and everything.
Yeah.
But I
Well,
think
don't
he
get me started on Pacquiao. Let's not go. It's not enter Pacquiao world today.
okay. So let's go into some of the fighters that you feel are overrated.
Overrated. Anthony Joshua.
Yes.
Uh,
Oh,
obviously Dylan White.
I've seen
Boom.
some of your tweets. I think that you
Billy
respond.
Joe Saunders. Who else? They're all up in that little crew too. Billy Joe Saunders. Who else? What's that other one? Oh, those are like the major ones, I think.
Okay.
Oh, David Lemieux.
So
Who else?
why do you think Joshua is overrated? I'm interested in that one.
I just think he was hyped up too fast. I
Hmm.
don't think that he was ready for the fights that he's um had. I think they've kind of given him a couple of victories, and then you obviously saw how horrible he trained when he fought um Andy Ruiz.
Hmm.
You know, he went into that fight like, oh whatever, I got this, like it's no problem. And I just don't like that. I cannot stand when fighters lose their dedication, or even, I mean, he shouldn't even have how can he even lose his dedication? He's only won like three big fights in his career. I'm sorry. I just don't think like what like he's just I think he just got hyped up, and I don't think that he's dedicated to what he does. I don't see that.
That's interesting because I feel like after the loss, it almost awakened his drive again, like his fire. And yes, as boxers, we wish for them to never lose that fire, but it has happened plenty of times, right? And it's Maurice Adler's famous for saying, it's hard to wake up and run when you have silk pajamas or something like that. And I think that plays a big role into it. But there are various champions that always had that fire. Mayweather has made so much millions and millions of dollars, and he never lost that fire, right? Because well,
Right.
he wanted more paper and he understood the business of it, right?
Right. He's a he has great businessmen. I can't say he's a great businessman, but he has great businessmen on payroll.
Yes. So that's one of the things that motivate him. But some some of the boxers become complacent and they don't realize that if they don't put the same effort, then that might end because they're so satisfied with, oh, from where I came from, right? Maybe they didn't have much. I know he mentioned he would sell drugs when he was younger and stuff like that. He came from a low economic background, and I think most boxers do. It's very few boxers that are like well off before going into boxing. I think Marco Antonio Barrera was one of them, that he was middle class in Mexico, which is very interesting. One of the few boxer greats that came from like a middle class. But besides like that, there's not many, and it's always
Yeah.
people who are low income. So when they get a big amount of cash, they're like, "Oh, this is gonna last me forever," you know.
Yeah, it's a poor man's sport, so
Yeah, but
they
one loss,
yep.
one loss
It
will.
take it can go away in one in I mean, like what are the Golden Boy the prospects coming up, Golden Boy usually gives them like a 3 fight contract.
Mhm.
You could lose it all in 3 fights. You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
that's what they start you at 3 fight contract. So I mean, you could win 2 of those fights and then get knocked out in the third, and that's it. It's over. They're not gonna give you another contract. You know?
Yeah, like Dylan White, he was waiting for so many days he was counting, right? And he was doing good, and I was like, "Oh, Dylan White's looking good," because his last fight he didn't look so good, and he was like, he finally became prepared, he's ready, and then boom, he gets knocked out. He's getting the rematch, and I think he might win the rematch, maybe. But you never guaranteed. It's never guaranteed with it, with boxing. And once
Yeah.
you get knocked out like that, you might not be the same. And even though the other one is getting really old, he still has that power, and he still have the psychological advantage of, hey, I can knock this guy out, and hopefully, it's a good fight again. But uh, I don't feel either of those are going to put a dent into the heavyweight division at this point. Okay, is there anything that you would like to talk about before we end this, recording?
Just follow my Instagram, follow my Twitter. I'm gonna start my podcast is only in the second episode, so hopefully I get some more interesting topics on my podcast. Also, I don't like talking to myself. I like this, like how talking to somebody. I
Yes.
don't, I don't, I don't. I'm not entertained talking to the camera alone and giving just my own, opinions out. I like who the heck wants to listen to that? Like,
No, it's so interesting because I think it's more back and forward, right? And I don't know what inspired you to make a podcast, but for me, I struggle a little bit when I record because it's like, oh, I have to say this and I forget or I stutter. And I think when I have a conversation, it's a little bit more fluent, it's more natural, and it's
yeah,
easier to be responsive. But I will continue to follow that podcast that you have, and hopefully everybody
thank
listens to it.
you.
Hopefully you guys like and subscribe to my channel as well. Okay, with that,
Yes,
we're heading out, and thank you for coming in. Okay,
thank you for having me.
all right, bye bye.